We have some major news this afternoon. While the Trump administration is refusing to provide SNAP and other assistance to families during the government shutdown, blue state governors are stepping up, implementing their own disaster declarations, their own states of emergency to provide state funds where the federal government is lacking. And today, the latest, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro announced a $5 million fund provided by the state, along with an additional $1 million fund provided by private citizens like Mark Cuban, that he called on to donate to support food banks across the state of Pennsylvania. Because while the government shutdown has gone into day 31, state Democratic governors are not kind of sitting back and just not doing anything. And even though a federal judge did order the Trump administration to move forward and provide SNAP benefits, contingency funds over the next several weeks, that's a temporary fix. Trump may appeal. This may go up to the United States Supreme Court. And even if Trump loses, it'll still take about a week for that funds to get to people. And so Governor Shapiro and other blue state governors are stepping up. I just spoke with Governor Shapiro about this new announcement that he made today. I want you to check it out and let me know what you think. Super excited today to be joined by Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Now, Governor, I hear you just had a big announcement that you made in Pennsylvania about SNAP benefits and protecting Pennsylvania families. What did you do exactly?
Well, I'm here at Philabundance in Philadelphia, a place that just does righteous work feeding hungry people. I came here today to announce that I just signed a disaster declaration here in Pennsylvania, which will allow me to free up millions of dollars, about $5 million initially, to be able to go to food banks like Philabundance and others all across Pennsylvania to help those Pennsylvanians who aren't going to get their SNAP benefits starting tomorrow, November 1st. I want you to understand just the severity of the need. 2 million Pennsylvanians receive SNAP benefits. Our entire population is 13 million people. It's like 1 out of every 8 Pennsylvanians needs some assistance just to be able to eat or feed their children. And now without those dollars, by the way, for the first time since the 1960s, when this program began, those dollars won't flow. And so more and more people are going to turn to a place like Philabundance to get help. And so these dollars are going to allow them to buy more food, buy more from our farmers, and help those who are in need.
Now, I do want to get your reaction because just before we hopped on, 2 federal judges, one in Massachusetts, one in Rhode Island, essentially said that the Trump administration is unlawfully withholding the contingency funds, the federal SNAP benefit funds that they should be giving out to families across the country, including the 2 million families in Pennsylvania. Yep. These 5 million funds that you announced today, how will they be used in conjunction with hopefully these contingency funds that should be released over the weekend into Monday potentially?
Well, let's first talk about this judge's ruling. Remember, I sued along with some other states in order to get the federal government to use those contingency funds. There's a few unknowns right now, even though the judge ruled in our favor. And I'm grateful that the judge saw the law as we did there, requiring the federal government to provide those dollars. But remember, this is a Trump administration that doesn't always respect the rule of law. We don't know if they're going to appeal. We don't know if they're just going to simply ignore the ruling. If they do adhere to the ruling, it will still likely take a week to 10 days to get those dollars released. And that's really just a temporary fix. So I'm waiting to see the reaction from the Trump administration to see. But what we absolutely know is that there's going to be an acute need for at least a week or so before those dollars can flow. And as a result of my emergency declaration here in Pennsylvania, we'll be able to get food to people who are hungry.
I do want to ask you about the practicalities and like the specifics of the emergency declaration. $5 million for 2 million people. It may seem like a lot of money, but that money runs fast. Is there more money that you can eventually tap into if you need to here?
Yeah, I understand. We're not using that $5 million to load up people's SNAP cards. We simply don't have those dollars. And by the way, the federal government has told us they won't reimburse us, even if we put the money onto people's cards. And this is a 100% federally funded initiative. What the $5 million does to get us started means when you show up to Philabundance, and there'll be more and more people showing up here because of this, there will now be food available for them. That's a big deal. In addition to that, I set up a private fund and called on Pennsylvanians who look, quite frankly, have been blessed and are fortunate. And I asked the private sector to match the dollars that we're putting in at the state level. And I have to tell you, a number of Pennsylvanians have stepped up with $250,000 contributions and more. And so we've already raised over $1 million in private sector money to hopefully double the state money that we are putting in to start.
I guess, are you at all worried right now that this government shutdown could last potentially into Thanksgiving, maybe even longer? And I mean, the millions of dollars that you guys are allocating, great, but I mean, people are still going to suffer, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, I worry. Absolutely. And listen, I'm not suggesting that what we're doing here in Pennsylvania solves the problem. The only thing that'll solve the problem is for the Republicans to reopen the government in Washington, D.C. and fund things like SNAP. But in the absence of their willingness to do it, I can't sit by and do nothing. I want to help
Yeah.
my fellow Pennsylvanians. I want people to eat. This is basic stuff. I also have amazing farmers that produce wonderful food. They're losing a market because the federal government has shut us down. I mean, remember, Donald Trump loves to talk a good game about farmers. Not only is he screwing over 2 million people who depend on SNAP, he's screwing over Pennsylvania farmers who produce the food that people with a SNAP card go and buy. And so he's hurting farmers. He's hurting folks who are hungry, and we're stepping up to do everything we can to help right now. I'm not suggesting we can fill the gap. By the way, legally, the federal government won't let us do it, but we have to do something. You know, there was a famous Pennsylvania, you're probably too young to remember him, but Mr. Rogers, right? I grew up on Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers. He said, famously, look for the helpers. He was a Pittsburgher, right? We're looking to helpers here in Pennsylvania, and we're finding them. People in the private sector stepping up. Great people at Philabundance and other food banks stepping up. Your state government stepping up to help. We're trying to do our part.
Now, what are you hearing from folks on the ground who rely on SNAP benefits or who are just impacted by the government shutdown, even farmers? I mean, these are folks, doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, voted for Trump or Harris. I mean, everyone's been impacted. So what are you hearing from everyday folks right now?
Yeah. So I hear from people who rely on SNAP. And again, 1 out of every 8 Pennsylvanians relies on SNAP. Just a lot of worry. I mean, we just heard from a woman who spoke at the press conference where I announced the disaster declaration, that she's got $30 left on her SNAP card that she needs to get her through the holidays here in the month of November. I mean, that is scary. I have people coming over to me just so worried and scared, all because, the Republicans shut the government down in D.C. By the way, I also have farmers coming to me, including farmers that voted for Donald Trump and voted for me as well, and say he's screwing us. I mean, the tariffs shut down markets. The tariffs drove up prices for them and drove down the market share they have. And now they're getting screwed because the SNAP program they rely on for people buying their product, buying their beef, buying their dairy, buying their produce. And now that doesn't exist either. So he's hurting people who are hungry, and he's screwing over the very people that largely voted for him in the last election, these wonderful farmers.
Now, Governor, before I let you go, if there's someone watching here, whether in Pennsylvania or anywhere else across the country, and wants to support your efforts, wants to support Philabundance, wants to help folks who are relying on assistance from the government right now, what's your message to them? What can they do?
Well, look, I would tell you that if you have the benefit of time, go volunteer at a food bank. Make sure you're helping out with all the extra product that's coming in. Go out and help and help feed others in your community that are facing really challenging conditions. If you've got the means and you can donate to our Pennsylvania SNAP Emergency Relief Fund. $5, $500. I mean, heck, if you're doing pretty well, you can give us $5 million. Just give money to help those who are hungry. And I want to be clear, none of that money comes to the state government. 100% of that money gets driven out to food banks all across our 67 counties here in Pennsylvania.
Governor Shapiro, thanks so much for what you're doing, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.